Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Honor to him, the blessed one, the worthy one, the fully enlightened one. My utmost respect to the perfectly enlightened Samma Sambuddha, the noble doctrine of the Buddha, and the noble Mahasangha, the disciples of the Buddha. Hello everyone, welcome to our Sunday Dhamma Talk series. Today is Dhamma Talk number 110. Today I am going to discuss with you another really important chapter of Dhammapada that is called Arahanta Vagga. So far we have discussed all the rest of the Dhammapada chapters from the very beginning. Today is chapter number 7. So let's get started with the chanting of the Dhammapada. Arahanta Vagga. You can also join, and that way we all can work together. I hope you can read this with me. Here is the Dhammapada, Arahanta Vagga. Let us read it together. Gatadhino visokassa vipamuttassa sabbadhi sabba gantapahinassa parilahona vijjati uyunjanti satimanto nanikete ramantite hangsawa pallalang hitwa okamokang jahantite ye sang nichayo natti ye parinyata bhojana sunyato animito che vimokho yas gocharo akaseva sakumtanang gatite sangdurang naya yassasava parikhina ආහාරේච අනිසිතෝ සුඤ්ඤතෝ අනිමිත්තෝච විමුක්ඛෝ යස්ස ගෝචරෝ ආකාසේව සකුන්තානං පදං තේ තස්ස දුරං නයං යස්සීන්ද්‍රියානි සමතං ගතානි අස්සායථා සාරථිනා සුදන්තා පහේනමානස්ස අනාසවස්ස දේවාපිතස්ස පිහයන්ති තාදිනෝ පඨවි සමෝ නොවිරුජ්ජති ඉන්දකීලෝපමෝ තාදි සුබ්බතෝ රහදෝව අපේත කද්දමෝ සංසාරාන භවන්ති තාදිනෝ සංතං තස්ස මනං හෝති සංතාවාචාච කම්මච සම්මදඤ්ඤා විමුත්තස්ස උපසංතස්ස තාදිනෝ අසද්ධෝ අකතඤ්ඤෝච සන්ධිච්ඡේදෝච යෝනරෝ අතාව කාසෝ වන්තාසෝ සවේ උත්තම පෝරිසෝ ගාමේවා යදිවාරඤ්ඤේ නින්නේවා යදිවා තලේ යත්ථ අරහන්තෝ විහරಂತಿ තං භූමින් රාම නීයකං රමණීයානි අරඤ්ඤානි යත්ථන රමති ජනෝ විතරාගා රමෙසන්ති නතේ කාම ගවේසිනෝ. Okay, that is the chanting of this Dhammapada Arahanta Vagga. And with this, I also want to discuss with you uh, the meaning. Maybe we will start with the short, simple meaning first, and later we will discuss more detail. Gatadhino viso kassa vippamutassa sabbadhi sabba ganthapahinassa parilahona vijjati. The fever of passion does not arise for one who has completed the journey, who is free from sorrow, entirely liberated, and has severed all ties. So, this wonderful story is related to Jivaka. I will discuss about that thing later. I just want to actually go to the meaning first, so you can have a simple idea of the entire Arahanta Vagga all about. This is there are 10 stanzas. So the fever of passion does not arise for one who has completed the journey, who is free from sorrow, entirely liberated, and has severed all ties. Let's go to the next stanza. Uyunjanti sati manto na nikete ramantite hansava pallalang hitva okamokan jahantite. The mindful exert themselves. They remain unattached to any home, like swans that leave one lake after another behind. So the mindful exert themselves. They remain unattached to any home, like swans that leave one lake after another behind. Okay, just like that. The Arahanta also has no attachment to any home. Ye sang sannichayo nathi, ye parinyata bojhana, sunyato animittocha vimokho yassa gocharo. I have to double check with this spelling. Should be, I think, yassa gocharo. If I am not mistaken. Akaseva sakuntanang gatite sang durannaya. He whose defilements are extinguished and who is unattached to food with the void as his objective walks a path that cannot be traced like birds in flight. Okay, so this again is a really, really important idea, concept of the Arahantahood. He whose defilements are extinguished, no more defilements, and who is unattached to food, not attached to food, no craving for food, with the void as his objective, sunyata, animitta, no nimitta, or it is completely void or empty, walks a path that cannot be traced. His path cannot be traced. This Arhanta's path cannot be traced means he has completed the journey. He has no more trace to be seen like the others. Just like the birds in the flight. When they fly, we don't see their footsteps. Yassasava parikhina aharecha anisito sunyato animittocha vimokho yassa gocharo akaseva sakuntanang padang tassa durannayang. He whose defilements are extinguished and who is unattached to food, with the void as his objective, walks the path that cannot be traced. It looks like the same, repeating. I have to double check that too. Sorry. Yasindriyani samatangatani asayatha sarathina sudanta pahina manasa anasavasa devapi tassa pihayanti tadino. Even the gods cherish the wise one whose senses are subdued like a well-trained horse whose pride has been vanquished and who is free from defilements. So even the gods cherish the wise one. So the celestial ones also really respect those wise people whose senses are subdued like a well-trained horse. So when the horse is well-trained, he has amazing capacity to travel even among the crowd and with so many different disciplines. Horse can be a wonderful person, a wonderful animal, and just like that, the Arahanta person whose senses are subdued can be cherished, can be appreciated, can be respected even by the celestial beings. So, whose pride has been vanquished? Horse is naturally a very proud animal, but in this sense, it is the proud or the pride of the Arahanta person is referred. So mana, nihatamana, or no mana for the Arahanta person, and who is free from defilements, no more kilesa, no more defilement for the Arahanta person. That person can be appreciated, respected, venerated, cherished even by the celestial beings. පඨවිසමෝ no virujjati indakilupamo tadi subbato rahado apeta kaddamo sansarana bhavanti tadino. For the wise, there's no more worldly existence. Like the earth, they resent nothing, remaining steadfast as a towering pillar and as pure as a deep, clear pool. Pathavi samono virujjati. For the wise, there is no more worldly existence. So the wise here is the Arahanta person. No more existence for the Arahanta person. Like the earth, they resent nothing. So the earth is amazing. Like it has an amazing patience, remaining steadfast as a towering pillar and as a pure uh, and as pure as a deep, clear pool. So the Arahanta person also can remain very steady as a towering pillar, like Yathin the Kilo Pataving Sitosya. We hear it in the Ratana Sutta, just as a towering pillar, a steadfast pillar that cannot be shaken by the winds that come from all four directions. The Arahanta person can also remain steadfast, just as a pure, clear pool you can see through. It is very clear to all of us. Santang tassa manang hoti santa vacha cha kamma cha sammadanya vimuttassa upasantassa tadino. Calm is his thought, speech and action, who knowing fully is wholly liberated, perfectly tranquil and wise. Calm is his thought. So, santang tassa manang. Manang is mind. Vacha is word, speech. Kamma is action. All of them, kaya, vacha, mana, they are already well tamed and very, very calm. Who knowing fully, sammadanya, knowing fully, is wholly liberated. Vimutta means completely. Sammadanya means knowing fully. Vimutta means completely liberated, perfectly tranquil, upasantasa, tadino, wise. Oh, tadi can also be like this unshaken person who is not disturbed by all those vicissitudes. Unshaken, steady person is called Tadi, and it's another word for the Arahanta person. Here, wise also is referred to Arahanta person. Asaddho akatanyocha sandhichedocha yonaro hatavakaso vantaso save uttama poriso. The man devoid of blind faith, who understands the uncreated, has severed all ties, obliterated all causes for karma, both good and evil, and renounced all desires. He is truly the most excellent of men. So, the man devoid of blind faith, no more blind faith, who understands the uncreated, akatanyu, uncreated, here. Sandhichedacha. Sandhi means the junctions, the intersections, the ties, all kinds of ties. Sandhichedocha has been severed, has been broken. Hatavakaso, obliterated, all causes. So this is like both good and karma, bad karma. Hatavakaso, vantaso, renounced all desires. And Save Uttama Puriso, he is truly the most excellent of men. Uttama Purisa, he is a great noble person. This again is referred to the Arahanta person. Gameva yadiva ranye, ninneva yadiva thale, yatha arahanto viharanti, tang bhuming ramaneyakang. This should be bhuming. Inspiring is the place where Arahantas dwell, whether it be a village, forest, valley, or hill. So wherever they live, Gama, Aranya, Ninna, or Thala, village, forest, valley, or even hill, wherever they live, that place can be a wonderful place, inspiring place, Ramaniya, Ramaniyakang. So that place, that place is a very pleasant place. Tam Bhuming, Bhuming is the place or the land. Last one. Ramaniyani Aranyani Yathana Ramati Jano Vitaraga Ramisanti Nate Kama Gavesino. Inspiring are the forests where worldlings find no delight. They are the passionless rejoice, seeking no sensual pleasures. So, when those other people, mundane, average, worldly people, when they are not finding any delight in certain forests, for example, these arhantas, these passionless people, they rejoice there. They really like to live in those places where solitude is rampant. So rejoice, seeking no sensual pleasures, because they have no kamagavi. They are not kamagavesi. They don't seek sensual pleasures. Whereas the other mundane people, they always try to see those sensual places where sensual pleasures can be gratified, and the arhantas have already completely obliterated all those sensual pleasures, so they don't have to worry about them, and they would really be happy to live in such places where the other normal people would find it not so interesting and not so fascinating. Already I have a question here from Dulani. Why do you write down these words in Sinhala? What do you mean? I haven't written down. Maybe you ask, why don't you write down? So, well, it is for the benefit of the others. We have these things in Roman scripts, so the other people can also understand. That's why we have them written in Roman scripts. And also Pali doesn't have a script of its own, so Pali can be written by any script, whether it is Sinhala script or Nagari script or Thai, Myanmar, and for those international friends who are interested in learning Buddhism, especially Pali Tipitaka, we use the Roman scripts. That's why we have it. I hope that's the question you wanted to ask. Let me know if you have any more questions. Okay, so Arahanta Vagga, really fascinating chapter, because this gives an idea about who the Arahanta person is all about, and what do we need to learn about Arahanta persons and the liberated ones, the enlightened one. It's really important that we learn these characteristics of the Arahanta persons. So what happens to the Shruti asks a question. What happens to Arahanta's consciousness after his death? Well, when it is gone, just like we already heard in this Dhammapada, like their traces cannot be, their path cannot be traced, so they already have completed their journey. Therefore, we cannot see. Therefore, we cannot see anything wherever they left, because they have already done their journey. So it is really important that we learn about these things about the Arahantas. Just like the birds, when they fly in the sky, you can trace their footpath. Just like that, the Arahanta who has completed the journey and no more rebirth. Remember, the Buddha also had this when Prince Siddhartha said, um, um, he said, "This is my last birth. Ayamanti majati nathidani punabhavo." I have completed the journey. Nathidani punabhavo, no more punabhava, no more rebirth for me. And many of those Arahantas, the liberated ones, the enlightened ones, when they complete their journey, it's like decoding the circle of samsara. So we are all trapped in this whirlpool of samsara, and those Arahanta people, those liberated ones, they come out of this samsaric circle, and they kind of decode it. We all can do it if we make some effort, hopefully, and that is what we also want to know how to do it. So some of these stanzas definitely can inspire you and I how to become an arahant, how to at least come closer to that stage, like Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahanta, those Magga paths and fruitions. How do we achieve those things? How do we accomplish those things? So their existence is no more after achieving enlightenment. And when there is consciousness, is vijnana, right? If you go through this, the links in Paticca Samuppada, it says Avidya Pachya Sankhara. So with the because of the avidya or the ignorance, the sanskaras or the sankharas appear, and they are caused by the sankhara, and because of the sankhara, vijnana appears, that is the consciousness. Because of the vijnana, then nama rupa appears. Sankhara pacchaya vijnana, vijnana pacchaya nama rupang, and nama rupa pacchaya salayatana. Because of that, the 6 faculties appear, and then salayatana pacchaya passo, and then salayatanas, the 6 faculties, when it is contracted, so the contact or the passa appears after that. It is caused. These are the causes and conditions, and then passa pachya vedana, and then we have pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feelings, and then vedana pachya tanha. So it goes around these links, and then it comes back, like when there is no consciousness, or no sankhara and no consciousness, it delinks all by itself. There is a domino effect in this case, actually. When you get rid of the main cause, the root cause of the samsara actually is the avidya, and also the tanha. These are the 2 things, ignorance and the craving. Once you get rid of the ignorance, everything else will collapse. Like the, with the domino thing, you know the domino effect. Just one little, maybe a card or something, when you make a movement, the entire thing will slowly and steadily collapse. Just like that, when we get rid of this avidya, everything else will collapse. So interesting question, but we need to really work on that. Okay. Right. So in the Arahanta Vagga, the first stanza that we learned is Gatadhino Visokasa Vipamutasa Sabbadi Sabbagantha Pahinasa Parila Hona Vijyati. So with the journey finished and sorrowless, from everything, completely free, for one who is loosened all the ties, passions forever is not found. So in this we find that the fever of passion does not arise for one who has completed the journey. He has completed the journey. We are all in pursuit of this journey. Passions, like the karma, we generate karma every time with the 6 faculties. When we contact through the eye, we see a form, and then with that tinna sangati paso, when they are eye consciousness and the form, when they are contacted together, then we create karma, we generate the karma, whether it is pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Then we continue to create karma, accumulate karma, accrue lots and lots of karma. These are the sankharas, that cankers that we continue to accumulate, and with that our sansaric journey will roll on, and it will be very hard to get rid of it unless we free ourselves from all kinds of all kinds of attachments and other things that we have. So this particular stanza was preached by the Buddha. There was a story, actually, background story is there. The story of the question asked by Jivaka Komara Bacha, or Jivaka, the personal attendant of the Buddha himself, and he was also the attendant of King Ajatasattu, King Bimbisara, and also King Ajatasattu. So while residing at the mango grove, Ambavana, monastery of Jivaka, so the Buddha spoke this verse with reference to the question raised by Jivaka to the Buddha. So in this story, very fascinating story. One day the Devadatta teamed up with Ajatasattu and climbed Vulture's Peak, Gijjakuta Pabbata. With bad intentions, he thought, I will kill the Buddha. And he threw a rock down. And the rock hit two cliffs and broke apart, but one piece struck the Buddha's foot, causing it to bleed. So the Buddha felt a lot of pain, and the monks carried him to a place called Maddakuchi. The Buddha wanted to go to Jivaka's mango grove, so he asked the monks to take him there. Please carry me there. So the monks carried the Buddha to Jivaka, and Jivaka heard about the Buddha's injury, and he quickly went to help, and he did so. And when he put some ointment on the wound and wrapped it up, then he said, Venerable Buddha, I have a patient in the city. I'll go see him, but I'll be back. I'll be right back. So keep the bandage on until I return. And Jivaka went to uh, take care of his patient in the city. He had another appointment, so he had to go there. But when he came back, what happened? The city gate was closed. Normally, those gates are closed in the evening, and when he returned, it was closed, so he could not get in. And he suddenly thought, he was very worried. I made a big mistake. I treated the Buddha's wound just like I would treat anyone else. I need to remove the bandage now, because if I leave it on all night, the Buddha will have a lot of pain, because that bandage should be removed after a certain time. At that moment, the Buddha spoke to Venerable Ananda, his personal attendant Ananda. Jivaka came back late and couldn't enter. He was thinking it was time to remove the bandage. Now Buddha can read his mind, Jivaka's mind. So Buddha instructs Ananda to remove that. So please take care of it. Take it off. And when they removed the band-aid, the scar vanished, just like bark falling off a tree. The next morning, Jivaka hurried to the Buddha and asked, Venerable Sir, did you feel a lot of pain? The Buddha replied, Jivaka, for the Buddha, all sufferings is extinguished. Gataddino visokasa, no more suffering. Just like when I sat on the throne of enlightenment. So no more pain for me. So here Gataddhino means it refers to someone who has completely traveled the path, specifically an Arahanta person, a liberated person. Remember, when we say Araha, the Buddha also is Arahant. So he also is included here. And that is the meaning here, Gataddhino. And so here Jivaka is asking Buddha some questions, and about the pain, and the Buddha says, Gatadhino visokasa, when there are when they have completed their journey, no more soka, no more sorrow, or no more pain. So that is what the Buddha said here. Gatadhino visokasa vipamutasa sabbadhi sabba gantha pahinasa parilahona vijyati. Gatadhino, those who are at journey's end. Visokasa means sorrowless. Sabbadhi means in all things. Vipamutasa, fully released. Sabba gantha pahinasa, have totally freed themselves from all bonds. Parilaho means anxiety. Navijyati, does not occur. So to the Buddha, to the Arahanta person, these things do not occur. And Sabba Gantha Pahina means Gantha here is all bonds. So there are 4 kinds of bonds. Abhijja, that is covetousness and desiring the possessions of others. Vyapada, ill will or hatred. Resentment and anger towards others. And Silabhata Paramasa, alienated, discipline. And Idang Satcha Binivesa, that means the bias that what I hold is entirely true and all others are untrue. These are the 4 bonds. Abhijja Vyapada, Silabhata Paramasa, and Idang Satchabi Nivesa. These are the 4 bonds that tie us to the samsara, and the Arahanta person has completely destroyed all these bonds. So this is the Gatha, the Pali Gatha, and we can break it up like this. Gatadhino visokasa sabbadhi vipamutasa sabba gantha pahinasa parilahona vijyati. So this way it becomes more meaningful. It is converted to a poem when you jumbled here and there according to the meter and rhyme. So over here, Gatadhino is those who are at the journey's end. So when you have gone to the end of the journey, you can really see their path anymore, no more steps. And Visokasa, Soka, no more Soka, like Asoka also. Asoko, Sokining Pajang. Visoka also is just like that. Sabbadhi in all things. Vippamutta. Mutta means released. Vippamutta means completely released. Sabba Gantha Pahinasa. So this is Sabba means all, and Gantha is this the bond that we were talking about, and Pahina is abandoned, freed. Parilaha, anxiety. Navidyati, does not occur. So these are the 4 bonds that I was talking about. Abhijja, Vyapada, Silabhata Paramasa, and Idang Satcha Binivesa. The bias that what I hold is entirely true and all others are untrue. This is a very difficult thing to get rid of, right? Because our ditti, one of the most difficult dittis or views, because we always try to justify that my view, my point of view is the right one and the others are baseless and others are wrong. That makes things so difficult. That becomes a bond, that becomes a really powerful hindrance. So when you come to this stage, you have to get rid of all these things. Abhijja, the covetousness, desiring the possessions of others, abhijja. And then Vyapada, ill will or hatred, resentment towards anger, towards others. So, and then the Silabhata Paramasa, this one again, like the rites and rituals and all kinds of things that we think they can be helpful to us, and many of them can become a hindrance. In another teaching, it is said Sakkaya Ditti Vichikicha Silabhata Paramasa, and you can see here some of them already. Sakkaya Ditti, or see the Ditti, for example. It's little different, that Ditti with this, but view, dogmatic view, is a really difficult thing to get rid of. And especially when it comes to like maybe because of your education or because of your popularity or because of your fan base or whatever, you might think, oh, I am the right one, and that can make us that can put us in very difficult stage. So you can really get rid of the samsara. That's why many of those people who have a lot of fans, a lot of popular people can find it very difficult because they have a lot of followers. um, unless you are really, completely unattached to all that popularity and all. If many cases like the ignorance can fool us when we are into that stage. So we have to be extremely careful about that. And then this one, Uyunjanti sati manto nanikete ramantite hansava pallalang hitva okamokang jahantite. See, the mindful exert here, satimanta, they remain unattached to any home. So they don't have any attachment to any base. Like the Buddha, for example, he had different temples, right? He had Velvanarama, he had Jetavanarama, he had Pubbarama, and then also Nikrodharama. Many different temples were offered to the Buddha by kings and other people, devotees, but the Buddha was never attached to any of them. He would travel. He would love to see, like visit the forest. He would love to sit and rest there for the rest of the night. That Buddha, sometimes Buddha has explained that how fascinated it was to stay in those forests, away from those hustle bustle in the cities. So many of us would love to stay in the cities where a lot of people are there, and we wanted to be we want to be surrounded by friends and relatives, teachers, elders, all of them, and we find it very extremely difficult to be alone. So in that case, they were more interested in living in simple forest areas. And so this story of Venerable Mahakassapa, while residing at the Veluvana monastery, the Buddha spoke this verse with reference to Venerable Mahakassapa. So in this case, Venerable Mahakassapa also, one time it happened, one day after staying in Rajagaha during the rainy season, the Buddha told the monks, in 2 weeks I will go on a pilgrimage for alms. While the other monks were preparing their bowls and dyeing their robes, and the Venerable Mahakassapa was washing his robes, and the monks were upset and wondered why he was doing this, thinking he was rejecting their support and wouldn't go far. Maybe just for uh, Mapama the cave, or that's another cave. Maybe just to Mapama the cave or close by one. The Buddha also thought about how many people lived in the city and realized that the monastery needed monks during public events. So he decided that Mahakassapa should return to the monastery with his group. He told Mahakassapa, "You should take your followers and go back." Mahakassapa agreed and returned. Then the other monks were frustrated, saying, "We knew Mahakassapa wouldn't go with the Buddha." When the Buddha heard this, he stopped and asked what they were talking about. They explained their thoughts about Mahakassapa. The Buddha then clarified, "You think Mahakassapa is attached to his home and belongings, but he returned because he wanted to follow my command. In a past life, he wished to be free from attachment and to help those who support him. Mahakassapa is not attached to anything. He is like a swan that can swim freely in the water." Venerable Mahakassapa is an amazingly powerful monk. Venerable Mahakassapa left for the jungle, for the forest. He became a Dutangadari monk. He was a forest monk for the rest of his life after some incident, and he is really a powerful monk, a very, very wonderful monk. So Venerable Mahakassapa's story is a truly inspiring one. So that is another story about the Arahantas. They are not attached to any base or any home. They have no more attachment to them. Satimanta here, those who are attentive or attention or perpetual alertness, So this attentiveness is introspective attention, like yoniso manasikara. So this is one of the 5 spiritual faculties we call pancha indriya, and also 5 um, uh, spiritual powers, what we call pancha bala. Sati. Sati is the key factor for many of those practitioners. So also one of the 7 factors of enlightenment, Sati, Dhamma, Virya, Piti, Samadhi, Upekha, we Pasadi and Samadhi and Upekha. So out of those 7 factors, Sati is one of them too. And also it is one of the 8-fold path, Samma Sati, right mindfulness. And so it's really, in its wider sense, one of those mental factors inseparably associated with all kammically wholesome and kamma produce states of mind. So that's called Satimanta. Arahantas, those people who have completely eradicated the passion, eradicated the defilements, who have come to a very pure form, and they have no more conception of I, me, myself. That's another very, very important concept. Then we have another stanza. Ye sang sannichayo nati, ye parinyata bhojana, sunyato animitto cha, vimokho yas gocharo, akaseva sakuntanang, gatite sanduranaya. So He whose defilements are extinguished and who is unattached to food with the void as his objective. So emptiness is the objective then. And Vimokko Yasagocharo and Akaseva Sakuntanang Gatite San Turanya. He walks a path that cannot be traced like a bird in flight. So that is why you can't even see their consciousness. That's really an interesting story about this. Yeah, if you have any question in between, please let me know. Okay. All these have some stories behind actually. When you talk about this, so it is said the Venerable Bellatti Caesar. So the story of that the Buddha was living in Jetavana monastery and he spoke this gatha in reference to Venerable Bellatti Caesar. It's not to confuse with Sanjay Bellatti Putta. Okay. So Bellatti Caesar, after going on an alms round in the village, stopped on the way and took his food there. After the meal, he continued his round of alms for more food. When he had collected enough food, he returned to the monastery and dried up the rice and hoarded it. Thus, there was no need for him to go on alms round every day. He then remained in jhana, completely absorbed himself into the concentration. And for 2 or 3 days, he was in jhana. And then, when he woke up from the jhana, he ate the dried food, dried rice, and that he had stored up after soaking it in water. It's like maybe like instant noodles or something. So he dried it and then later he was soaking it and he warmed it and he had the food. Other monks thought ill of the Thera, ill of this monk, Vellatti Caesar. And on this occasion, they reported this matter to the Buddha. Those days, actually, it was not happening. So since then, the Buddha prohibited this practice. As for the Venerable Bellatti Caesar, since he stored up rice before the ruling of hoarding was made, and because he did it not out of greed for food, but only to save time for meditation practice, the Buddha declared that the Thera was quite innocent and that he was not to be blamed. So he did not have the craving for food, of course. He really wanted to save time for his meditation. That's again an interesting thing. Depends on how you, what your intention, right? So sannicheo natti means no hoarding, no storing. Arahantas, I think these things are little different in today's context. We see, especially in the West, we see like people keep the food in fridges and store them for later use. And I think some people even don't cook for every day, like they cook maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, something, and they store the food in the fridges. Those days, of course, they didn't have fridge. So I remember, like when we were little, our parents, the mothers, they used to cook, all the three foods. So we had fresh food. We didn't have any refrigerator those days. But right now it is different. People are also busy. They want to save time. Whatever it is, actually, it is not really a healthy habit anyway. That we can definitely say. Anyway, so that's about the food storing and how the monk was really practicing meditation. Then there's another story of the monk. Um, he okay, the another gatha. He whose defilements are extinguished and who is unattached to food with the void as his objective. Okay, I think that is the one I missed out last time. So this should be 93. Okay, that is the food thing. Yeah. For whom pollutions are destroyed, he has as range the nameless and the void of perfect freedom too, as birds that wing through space, hard to trace is going. It's also like that. So this is about Venerable Anuruddha, story of Venerable Anuruddha. Um, one day, Venerable Anuruddha, whose robes were worn out, was seeking material on refuse heaps and in other similar places. Now, in the Venerable's third previous existence, he had a wife who had been reborn in the world of 33, that is Tavatinsa realm, as the goddess Jalini. So interesting, like their connection even after 3 births. So when the goddess saw the venerable seeking clothes for robes, she resolved to aid him. So the previous wives and previous relatives, how they can help you, as humans. When you are human, you have been connected to some maybe devas, even others. This is a wonderful example of how they help us. So taking 3 celestial clothes, 13 cubits long and 4 cubits wide, and thinking to herself, if I display these clothes in this manner, the venerable will not take them. She went to a certain refuse heap in front of the heap where the venerable was seeking clothes and laid them down in such a way that only the hems were visible. So um, she did not want to just give it right away because she knew then the venerable Kanuruddha would refuse it. So taking the clothes with him, he went his way. On the day he was to make his robes, the Buddha, accompanied by his other monks, went to the monastery and sat down. So the other 80 chief disciples were also there for the purpose of sewing the robes. Venerable Kassapa, the great Mahakassapa, sat at the foot. Venerable Sariputta in the midst of Venerable Ananda at the Venerable Ananda at the head. The company of monks spun out the thread. The Buddha threaded the needle. The Venerable Moggallana went here and there supplying whatever else might be needed. So, interesting story of how they work together, sewing a robe. The goddess entered the village and incited the inhabitants to give alms. So the devas also can actually um, encourage people to give alms. So they are making robes for my noble venerable Anuruddha. The Buddha, surrounded by the 80 chief disciples and accompanied by his retinue of many monks, has gone to the monastery and sat down therein. Take rice porridge and other provisions and go to the monastery. Now, this Deva, her name is Jalini, goddess Jalini, Devata. So she asked the people to go and offer food to the monks because they said the Buddha and other monks are helping um, uh, ro- so a robe for Venerable Anuruddha. During the meal, the Venerable Moggallana brought large piece of rose apple, but the monks were unable to eat it. Sakka, the king of gods, he drew a circle about the place where they were making the robes. The earth was as if dyed with lace. There was a great heap of food, both soft and hard, remaining over and above to the monks who had eaten. The monks were offended and said, "Why should such a quantity of food be provided for so few monks?" When they told the Buddha, he said, "But monks, you do not think that this was brought by any orders of Anuruddha, do you?" Yes, Venerable, we do. Monks, my son Anuruddha does not talk thus. They that have rid themselves of the corruptions do not spend their time talking about requisites. Nay, no. These provisions were produced by the supernatural power of a goddess. So, monks were like accusing, why do they have so many food? And then the Buddha said, don't worry, this is not by Venerable Anuruddha. Venerable Anuruddha did not order this much food. And it was actually by the act of a supernatural power of a goddess. So the Buddha knew that, and he explained the matter to these monks. So over here, asava is mentioned, and this is also translated as cankers, fluxes, and fluxions, stains, corruptions, intoxicants, and also biases. So Ditthasava, Kamasava, Bhavasava, Ditthasava, Avijjasava, we have 4 asavas in the Buddha Sasana. And most of the time, actually, Ditthasava is not explained because when you have Samma Ditti, that becomes a separate thing. And then also the stream entry, Sotapanna and Khinasava means when you get rid of all the asavas. Asavakkaya means the one who destroyed all the cankers. So asava is a really powerful, very useful word here. Okay. Let me come back to the questions. We have a question from Sukma Hema. When Bhikkhuni Arahanta was asked about Nibbana, she answered that only Arahant can understand about Nibbana. Even Anagami cannot until about Nibbana until an Anagami attains Arahantship. Yeah, so what is your question? That is right. Because without attending such high, lofty goals, we probably can't experience those things. Just like we have never tasted sweet, let's say, and then we talk about sweet to someone, and then you really don't get it, just like that. So yes, Arahanta, that stage is even Sotapanna for that matter. It will be really difficult for us to know if you have not attained that stage. But we just have to somehow listen to Dhamma talks. We have to discuss the matter with those wonderful monks and those practitioners, those who are experienced in the meditation, in the Dhamma, and that way we kind of get an idea about that. So we need to see how it is helpful to us, and we definitely can't push you to that level, and but we have to make an effort. Without making an effort, we won't be able to be there. That's right. Okay, there is another statement by Sukma. When Bhikkhuni Arahanta Dhammadinna was asked Nibbana, she answered, only an Arahant understands about Nibbana, even Anagami cannot understand. Okay, I think it is the same thing. Yes. Shruti Joshi, gratitude for more clear clarification for Arahanta. Yes, Shruti, the thing here is, every single gatha of this Arahanta Vagga, they are so powerful and they are so deep, and we can take even one gatha and talk and explain for hours, because they are really, really important and powerful stanzas. And I think what is more important here, at least to get an idea, how they do things. And maybe I will come back to the meaning only, so that you can get some idea. Let me share it with you again, so we can conclude after this. Over here you can see the fever of passion does not arise for one who has completed the journey, who is free from sorrow, entirely liberated, and has severed all ties. Now, here we can get the idea of, getting rid of sorrow and becoming fully liberated, and all ties, severed all ties. So, kind of getting rid of all those gantha or ties, we call bonds. Remember, we were talking about those four types of ties. And then the mindful exert themselves, they remain unattached to any home, like swans that leave one lake after another behind. The swans are also not attached to, once they leave, they don't leave any, they don't have any attachment, or they can leave. Also, the birds are actually compared to the Arahanta monks many a time. Sapata Bharu, Pakhi Sakuno, the monks, the Arahanta monks are just like, the birds who live only with the weight of the wings, and they can fly without taking anything. They don't have any baggage when they travel. Just like that, they don't leave anything behind, and they don't take anything with them. So the attachment is no more to the Arahanta monks. And that is also why the Buddha and all the other monks, they were actually um, traveling from one place to another. And over here you can see those who do not accumulate and are discerning about food, those who aim, uh, whose aim is the void. This is emptiness and the unconditioned freedom. Their path is untraceable, like the path of birds in the air. So again here, we have something about the food, discerning about the food. I remember in Sammaditthi Sutta, Venerable Sariputta explained that there are 16 ways to trigger Sammaditthi, and one is about the food. Kabalinkara food, for example, the food that we eat as humans, you know, the if we pay attention to that, we can also actually get rid of the Michcha Ditti. We can generate a powerful Samma Ditti. So discerning about food is also very important. how this can also be helpful to other foods, different types of foods. We have Kabalinkara, Passahara, Mano Sanchetana. These are different kinds of foods that we have. Actually, we nurture even the mind with the thoughts. When we have six faculties, when we are contacted with different objects outside, we actually nourish these faculties, and that way we generate karma. So the karma can become food for our samsara. So the Arahanta people, they are not interested in these things. And if you remember um, in the four jhanas, and then we have eight, the four more further attainments. We call akasananchayatana, viññānañchayatana, nevasanyanasanchayatana, and akinchanyayatana, and nevasanyanasanchayatana. When you go further in that attainments, you slowly get rid of like attachment. You don't even want to be attached to the body, and that is why they are born in formless realms. So they are not attached to food, they are not attached to body, and still they are born in the formless realm, and it is still difficult for them to get rid of some of those dogmatic views. So views would be difficult to get rid of, and that is why they will come back to this samsara. And after staying there for a long, long time, those Brahmas can still come back to this human form or the other realms also. So the samsara will not be over still. Yet they kind of get rid of those kind of, not completely. At least it is said tadanga vikambana samucheda. So in vikambana level, little bit further, they get rid of those attachment to the body and the form. Okay. Oops. So over here, he whose defilements are extinguished and who is unattached to the food. I think this is the same thing. Even the gods cherish the wise, whose senses are subdued like a well trained horse, whose pride has been vanquished, and who is free from defilement. So another thing that we can practically do is to take care of our senses. We have to subdue. We have to train ourselves not to be um, uh, not to be um, untrained, or we have to subdue our passions with the body and the speech and the mind. So when we are well trained in these things, we can also come little closer to the Arahanta path. That's important. We need to learn how to do that. We need to make an effort how to do that, and that is why the Buddhist community, for example, we practice 5 precepts, and then on full moon days you practice 8 precepts. That way you train yourself how to train your body and the speech and also the mind. Yeah, this is a very important lesson for us. Over here, for the wise, there is no more worldly existence. Like the earth, they resent nothing, remaining steadfast as a towering pillar and as pure as a deep, clear pool. Over here, it is said no more worldly existence. So we can't have this thing unless we achieve there. But like the earth, they resent nothing. This is the idea we need to get. So the quality of the Arahantahood is they resent nothing. So we need to make some effort, like not to have that grumpy feeling, not to have that disliking. That way, if we get rid of these, then we will be able to come closer to the noble path. So also steadfast as the towering pillar, like you need to be steady. You want to maintain your inner peace. That way, no matter what happens around, you know how to take care of your inner peace. That way, you can also again come closer to the Arahanta ideal. Calm is his thought, speech, and action, who knowing fully, is fully, wholly liberated, perfectly tranquil and wise. Again, here we talk about the thought, speech, and action. So, if we take care of these three sense doors, of course, we can come even more closer to the noble path of the liberated one. Because when you do that, you become a calm person. Even if when you practice meditation, you already can feel your bodily calm. When you are calm, it is said, for example, in the jhanas, we say jhanic factors. Uh, so vitakka vichara, when we have the applied thought, and then we have sustained thought, and then we have piti, the rapture, the joy, amazing, unprecedented joy is there. And then when you further practice, you can see, you can experience vitakka vichara piti sukha, that comfort, that peace, that happiness, that ease is there with your body and the mind. And when you further practice, you also have the um, ekagata. So ekagata is the one pointedness. Over here, you can see how when you are bodily and verbally and also mentally, when you restrain yourself, discipline yourself, you can come close to that stage, tranquility. So the man devoid of blind faith, this is, we have to make some effort to do this too. Like a lot of people have blind faith. When people say you do this and you continue to do that, maybe you have been doing it for ages with your parents, or maybe with your community, you keep doing it and you certainly believe it in and have kind of blind faith and kind of blindfolded. You don't want to look here and there, you don't want to analyze it critically, approach, and whether it is right or wrong, you don't even want to think of it, just keep believing it, and that becomes another hindrance to us. So we have to critically analyze, we have to self evaluate those things. So the arhant, if we want to be come closer to that stage, one who understands the uncreated has severed all ties. So all ties, again, tied to the food, tied to the clothes, tied to the titles, tied to whatever, all the homes, so many defined things, possessions, when like the relatives, friends, even these are ties. So we have to slowly get rid of them if you want to come closer to the Arahantahood. So when we continue to think of it, maybe that will help us, that will reiterate us stand, then we will be reminded of these things. And that is why it is so hard for us to get rid of some of those pains, some of those sufferings, because of that tie. So obliterated all causes for karma, good, both good and evil. We have to get rid of these, renounce all desires. Then we can come closer to the nibbana. Inspiring is the place where arahants dwell, whether it be a village, forest, vale, or hill. Inspiring are the forests where worldlings find no delight. They are the passionate rejoice, seeking no sensual pleasures. Now, all these things actually help us get rid of the suffering and get rid of the attachment and eventually come closer to the Nibbana. Question from Guda Sachin. Bhante, can you please share Dhammapada Stories book? Yes, I could. Let me share this one. I share this link with you. And there are other. Okay, I don't know if the. Okay, this is a little bit longer, but you can go through that wisdom library. So they have this Dhammapada and the stories, and also some of those explanations can be very helpful to, I think, all of you too. All right. All right. So with that, I would like to conclude today's session. It's about Arahantahood, and one of my favorite topics, and my thesis also is about Arahanta ideal. You can also take a look. I wrote my PhD thesis on the philosophy of Arahanta ideal as depicted on Mahanidesa. So I tried to translate some of those things from the Mahanidesa, and eventually it was published. You can take a look. Maybe it will also be helpful. So this particular Dhammapada stanzas are also very helpful to us. And I personally would like to recommend to all of you, please read them every single day. Maybe chant whenever possible. You can chant them. That will be very helpful to stay motivated, so that you can also come close to the Nibbana. Dhammapada is such a wonderful, wonderful book. All those 423 stanzas are really, really helpful to learn the Dhamma, to practice the Dhamma. With that, I would like to conclude. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And I have some people, maybe I should mention their name: Maria and Gyaneshan Bhikkhu, and Piyankarati Satero, one of my student monks in the University of Bhikshu University, Sri Lanka. And Julie, I think she's from Canada. And Shruti Joshi, and also Dulani Ironica, and Robert Williamson, and Shruti Shanika Gamage, and Kasung Sriyanta, Chandrika Ratnayaka, and Buddhi Leonarachi, and Sukuma Hema, also Sujata Sirasad, and Rohan Tilankar, and Guda Sachin, and yes, everyone. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. Shruti asks, pleased to share that I read whole Dhammapada with the stories in whole Vasa period, sharing merits with you. So wonderful to hear. I also have chanted the Dhammapada. You can maybe take a look. All the Dhammapada. I still, I think, last two chapters I have to complete. Somehow I missed it out. Yes, reading Dhammapada can be very inspiring, really, really inspiring. So let us keep reading, let us keep learning the Dhamma, and hopefully this will help all of us. May you all be well, happy, healthy, and looking forward to seeing you with another Dhammapada chapter next time. May you all be well, happy, healthy, sukhi, digayuko bhava.